Good morning, everybody. As you go to the Chitas of today, we're holding V'zei Sabracha, last portion. We're holding on chapter 33, verse number 8. Levi Amar, until Levi said, Tumecha v'urecha li'ish chasidecha, your tumim and your urim befit Aaron, your pious man. Asher master whom you tested at Masa, the veil, and you tied Almei Meriva, the wars of contention. She says to Levi, he said, regarding Levi, he said, Mecha ve'erecha. Moshe here was addressing the divine presence. Asher nesisa b'masa, as they withstood they withstood they withstood the test that they complained along with the others who complained. Now she says the meaning as Unklish translates it to one who tried at the water of contention, was found faithful. Another explanation to the veil Meriva means you implicated him by employing him a pretext. Moshe said, now listen, you rebels, what did Aaron Miriam do wrong? Each Levi said about his maternal grandfather, I do not see him as my relative. And neither do I recognize maternal half-brother. As Banav Layada, no, he'd known his grandchildren. Yeshamri Masecha, for they are also worthy of blessings. Because they observed your words and they kept your covenants. What is Moshe Rabbeinu talking about? When the Jewish people sinned at the golden calf, and I said, whoever is for God, join me, all the Levites rallied around me. And I commanded them to kill the guilty, even if it meant that a Levite that had to be killed. His mother's father, who was a lay Israelite, his maternal brother maybe, or his daughter's son, and they did so. It's impossible to explain that these words are referring to their own father, their paternal brother, or their own son, for all the Levites didn't sin. So there had to be some kind of a brother that was from a different father. So if his mother was living first with an Israelite, and then married, his father was a Levite, so the brother was not a Levite. So that's what we're talking about. Kishamu Mesecha, you did not possess other people's deities, and they kept the covenant of circumcision. But it was known that the regular Jew did not circumcise his sons in the desert for whatever reason. They didn't circumcise their children in the desert. But the Levites did. They used to circumcise their children. Verse number 10, they will teach your ordinance to Jacob, and your Torah to Israelite, to the Jews. They will set incense before you, and place scent offerings upon your altar. Now she says again, they are worthy of doing this. The Chalil is an Oila. Verse 11, Baruch Hashem Chelei, God should bless their army. Ufav Yoda Tirza, and favorably accept the work of their hands. Machatz Masnaim Kamav, strike the loins both of those who rise up against them. Umesanov Miyakimun, and their enemies, so that they prevent from rising against them again. Now she says, strike those who rise up against them with a blow to the loins. This is a similar sense that it says, and make their loins consistently stumble. He said this in reference to those who challenge the priesthood. Another explanation over here was thinking about, he was prophesizing the story of Chanukah, the Chashmonaim, who were the tribe of Levi. And he's making reference, if you saw Yochanan the Chashmonaim, the son who battled the Greeks. and he prayed for them since they were very few in number. The 12 sons of Chashmonaim, and Eliezer against an army, many myriads. For this reason, he said, Baruch Hashem Chelei, to God should bless his army, will follow Yoda Titze, and accept the work of his hands. Mesanav mi kamun, the phrase to be understood as follows: strike those who rise up against them and their enemies, so that they cannot stand and recover. The Binyamin Amar, and then he said to Binyamin, he did Hashem Yishkei Levetach, God beloved one, will dwell securely besides him. Chayfav Alav Kalayim, he hovers above him all day long. Ubein Ksesav, and between the shoulders he rests. And Ashi says, since Levi's blessing entailed the sacrificial service that was of Binyamin, was that of the Holy Temple was built on his territory. That's what we're talking about over here. We're talking about the Binyamin's territory. Part of Yerushalayim was in Binyamin's territory. It was half of Binyamin and half of Yehuda's territory. So that's what he's saying. That's how he puts the two together. Moshe placed one following the other. He placed Yosef immediately afterwards. For Yosef too had the tabernacle. Next verse is Yosef, because he had the tabernacle of Shiloh built on his territory. It was there for 306, over close to 400 years. Shiloh was the Mishkan. Had the Shiloh built in his territory. As it says, he despised the tents of Joseph. And because of the permanent temple is more distinguished than Shiloh, which was in the tribe of Binyamin, therefore he placed Binyamin before Yosef. Chayfa Valav, he covers and protects him. Kol Hayom means forever. For from the time Yerushalayim was chosen as a temple site, the divine presence never rested anywhere else, and it's still there. The Shekhinah never went away from Yerushalayim, not Abayis. So therefore, he's still in the tribe. He's still there in the tribe of Binyamin. He's still there. He still stays still in the same place. Chayfa, we cover. I'm sorry, but again, Seifav Shrachayin. He dwells between his shoulders. The Holy Temple is built on the highest point in his land, and it's except for 23 cubits lower than near Ein Eitim. Indeed, King David intended to build it there, as says he's brought on the Gemara, but they said to him, "Let us have a little lower," as it's written. He dwells between the shoulders. That's why they moved it. That's why they understood. David HaMelech was not sure where the Beis Hamikdash should be built. And there's a higher mountain than Har HaMoriah. But then they told him, the pasuk where it says Ben Seifav, it's between the shoulders. So therefore, and there's no nicer part of a bull than its shoulders, and therefore ultimately Yonasana Navi confirmed that is the place that the Beis Hamikdash should be built. And that completes the Chumash. The Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya of the day. We're in the middle of the 21st chapter of Tanya. The Alter Rebbe is talking about tzedakah again, mitzvah tzedakah, and the concept that it should be done on a constant basis. Every day you should give tzedakah. So the reason given until this point for dividing one's annual pledge into weekly or at least monthly payments was the quality of the alacrity in performance of mitzvahs, that we should do it, not even though you could do it till the end of the year. You made a pledge for this year, you can pay it off the day before the end of this year. But the Alter Rebbe said, a Yid needs to learn from Avraham Avinu, who was alacrity, who was zrizus, he was alacrity. When it came to a mitzvah, he ran, especially tzedakah. We should run to do the mitzvah tzedakah, because the mitzvah tzedakah, especially says, the mitzvah day keeps the doctor away. So that's surely the mitzvah tzedakah. The mitzvah tzedakah day keeps the doctor away. Alter Rebbe now adds two further reasons for the deferring frequent payments to one consolidated contribution at the end of the year. Number one, every single act of tzedakah refines the soul of the donor. Number two, every single act of tzedakah brings about a supernal union with the spirits and partzufim. And that's why the mitzvah tzedakah, even though a big check is great, But giving tzedakah every day is you're accomplishing something every day. And by the Eibishter, who's infinite, there's no difference between a big check or a small check. Tzedakah is tzedakah. There's no, the mitzvah tzedakah is a penny, a pruta. So by the God, you give a pruta, that is a mitzvah. You did the mitzvah tzedakah. Indeed, in the service of charity, we also found and noted, Maila Prat is Gedolah. We find something particular by tzedakah that is unbelievable, in a flaw, it's incompatible, that we don't find any other mitzvah. Something phenomenal about the mitzvah tzedakah. As explained above, in the Geras HaKodesh, in the 12th letter, that the Alter Rebbe wrote, the act of charity, Ma'aseh tzedakah, remains steadily within the conventional limits set by one's natural inclination. Then you have the avodas tzedakah. So remember the Alter Rebbe's letter over there, that there's a difference between Ma'aseh tzedakah, the act of tzedakah, and the avodah of tzedakah, the service of tzedakah. The individual service in God by toiling, refining himself, and excelling himself until he's able to be charitable in a manner that leaps above and beyond his custom and nature. Alter Rebbe now teaches us that even the amount one gives is not out of the ordinary, nevertheless, if it's given a great frequency, it too qualifies as a divine service. And that's why Neisa Prutalani, the expression of the story in the Gemara is that Rabbi Eliezer gave a pruta. Pruta's a penny. That's what you learn from this concept, that the act of charity is performed numerous times. You can't put on tefillin twice a day. You can't light Shabbos candles twice a day. You can only, there's very few mitzvahs, you can't make a bracha on it. So there's very few mitzvahs that you can do twice and twice. And that is tzedakah. You can't bench a lulav and esek twice. Once you bench it once, you make a bracha on a lulav and esek. You can't make a bracha on it. You're not say God's name in vain. So you cannot do it a second time. Chol hamarbe, that's the opposite. When it comes to tzedakah, chol hamarbe is a meshubach. Whoever does it frequently is praiseworthy. Rather than one time and all at once, instead of giving everything at one time, then even then, it's far preferable to give an amount, same amount, over a longer period of numerous occasions. If you plan to give $1 million this year to tzedakah, give $100,000 a month. Give $25,000 a week. Or divide it every day. As brought down in my mother's blessed memory. The Feirush HaMishnah, an explanation of the Mishnah says, that the sages learned a blessed memory. That everything is according to the multiplicity of action, as opposed to the stature of the deed. We need to have more mitzvahs, more action, more mitzvahs, more action. In this, Maimonides explains that though one-time donation, say of 1,000 gulden, is truly praiseworthy, you give $1 million donation, it's phenomenal. The trait of benevolence does not thereby become embedded within the donor's physique. You should need to have avodas tzedakah, that tzedakah becomes a talent. It's not an action. Tzedakah needs to become part of one's essence. He has to be about tzedakah. You should become a master of tzedakah. You should master, as we call a person about tzedakah, a person who masters charity. He understands how to give charity. To the same extent that he would give the same 1,000 coins, one each at a time. Because when he gives it on a constant basis, tzedakah, he learns the quality of tzedakah. Right? So that's why we were brought up, to give every day tzedakah. It's pashut teaches a person the importance of giving tzedakah. Now, apart from the underlying reason for this, that the Maimonides, a blessed man, clearly explains, because we want to refine the soul. Because more we do something, the more the refinement of the neshama. So the neshama is refined through our multiple actions. By doing something, that's chazara, to repeating something, ultimately affects us. It simply affects us in many ways that it makes us different. Besides this, there's a pasuk, there's an open verse. The verse says, the effect of tzedakah is for life. The conclusion of the Hebrew edition of Tanya, the Rebbe refers to the reader the following two verses. The effect of tzedakah for life, and the Proverbs, Cain's tzedakah l'chaim. So to tzedakah is for life. According to the Rebbe, notes down to the Rebbe citation, the three words, Pu'ulas tzedakah l'chaim, the effect of tzedakah l'chaim are part of an explicit verse. Is problematic because it's not one verse. The Alter Rebbe puts two verses together. Seemingly, this difficulty can be resolved in interpretation. Thus, since the effect of tzedakah, it's tzedakah in the spirit of the verse, God is a tzaddik. He loves acts of tzedakah. The verse which states that the effect of a tzaddik is for life is in fact seeks to imply that the effect of a tzaddik versus tzedakah is for life. On the note of the Rebbe, it's apparent that the interpretation is unsatisfactory, for surely an explicit verse should be explicit without resorting to interpretation. So, whatever the Alter Rebbe used that verse to tell us, Pulas tzedakah, that the act of tzedakah is l'chaim. This means that the effect of the mystical consequence of tzedakah is to elicit and draw down supernal life from the fountainhead of God, life, of the Ein Sof, of the infinite light of God, to the land of life, which is the Malchus of Atzilus. So Spheres of Malchus of the Malchus is known as the land of life. We learned that also already, because relative to more heavenly levels, it's the lowest level within the world, as known as the land of life, because it provides life to all created beings of the three worlds of Bri, Yitzir, and Asir. So therefore, Malchus Atzilus is called Eretz HaChaim, the land of life. The effect of tzedakah then is to draw down life-giving energy to the recipient, or the feminine attribute called Malchus of Atzilus. The source of this life, the fountainhead of life, is called Zah, which is there, the last level in the world of Ein Sof, or infinite. The name Zah is the acronym for Zeir Ampim. You should all know that already, meaning the brackets of 6 masculine middays, or the emotive attributes of Atzilus. This yichud of the masculine and the feminine is a supernal union spoken of below, we'll soon see. So you have the concept that through tzedakah we bring down Ein Sof in Chachma and Bina of the Atzilus, which creates Zah, which brings together Zah and Malchus of Atzilus, the upper worlds and the lower worlds, they bring it together, and through this union creates Eretz HaChaim, creates life for all other entities. Vihi Shchinas Uzeinu. And the land of life, Malchus is also called the Shechina, which gives us strength. As the verse says, and it says, divine presence animates and fortifies created beings. As it says, you animate them all. The word Ata, you, elusive Sfiras Malchus, the source of God's creative speech in the world of Atzilus. For the spelling indicates the letters Aleph till Taf, Atav, Aleph, Taf, and the first letter and the last letter, Aleph and Taf, and the Hey is numerical of the equivalent to 5, which alludes to the 5 organs of the verbal articulation. So Ata shows the way Malchus, Dibur, speech, creative, Ata Machayas Kula, Malchus, which has everything in it, Aleph till Taf, A to Z, and it has the 5, the Hevel, the Hey, which is the 5 articulations of the mouth, which give out speech. And here we have what the whole concept of Sukkot. We say it on Sukkot in Mitzvah tonight. We're going to say, Arachmanu Yachzalana Sukkahs David Hanayfeles. That God should bring us back the Sukkah of David that have fallen down. What does that mean? He Sukkahs David Hanayfeles ad offer. The Shekhinah is identified as a Sukkah of David that has fallen. So that's the concept. David is Malchus. David is the concept of Malchus, King David. So Harachamon Yachzalon Sukkahs David and Nefeles. The Eibush should bring us back the Sukkah of David and Nefeles. Malchus has fallen down. Till the earth, it's fallen down. That's Gullus. Had to offer thus during the time of exile. So we pray that the Eibush should rebuild Sfiras HaMalchus. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring about the concept of rebuilding. That's what we sit in the Sukkah tonight. We sit in the Sukkah to show that it's not that our house is it's the Sukkah of David. It's the concept of Malchus that we're trying to rebuild, and it's the real entity that gives everything to the world. As it's brought down in the state with our sages, when the Jewish people exiled to Edom, the Roman destruction of the Second Temple, the Roman rule, which we're right now under Galus Edom, Shechina, Iman, the Shechina was with them, accompanying them in their wanderings throughout the last lower exiles of ours. The Shechina is hereby been humbled. That's why we have Malchus of the Eibishter. The Shechina, Malchus of Atzilus, which is the Shechina, has fallen down to the earth. We're in Galus. We're under the domination of Edom, and we got to rebuild it. We got to bring it back. We got to rebuild it. It's been humbled to the lowest depths. A time like this, acts of tzedakah that we rejuvenate it within the infinite life that has been elicited in the fountain of life. And he said that's what we're trying to rebuild. We tried to rebuild it, especially through tzedakah and the Mitzvah tonight. Through sitting in a sukkah, we're Harachamanu Yachzal and Sukkah David and fellas. We say, may God rebuild by us sitting in a sukkah and enjoying the sukkah. We ask the Eibishter to rebuild this Sfiras HaMalchus. Why is it called? There's this beautiful discourses of the Rebbe on this whole concept. So why is it called Sukkah's David and fellas? Why is Malchus connected to sukkah? Tzedakah has this effect because of arousal, which man innate from below. That's a to revive the spirit of the humble. The last, which has nothing from itself. So it elicits an arousal from above. That's also, you should know, is the beauty of the sukkah, because the sukkah is a temporary dwelling. It's not a house where a person builds and everybody, the question is, what is the strength of your house? Everybody's sitting in a temporary concept, in a very flimsy concept. And we all come down, we're all humbled to realize that we have the protection of God. We have the protection of the Eibishter that's with us, not the home that we built. But actually, we're going out of our home. Quoted phrase describes the poor, and as he borrows from the Kabbalistic description of the Shechina as a Sfira of Malchus, which is nothing of its own, but is given to by others, meaning by the highest Sfiras. Similar phrase quoted above thus highlights the fact that mortal man's charitable initiative is reviving the spirit of his poor neighbor. Does not merely echo or parallel the charity which Ein Sof is revived, the humble Shechina. It's quite literally activates it, and that's why it's a whole different reality. So by me helping a simple person, I'm doing something Lamaila which is phenomenal. You should realize the same thing. I think sitting in a sukkah is a davar pashut, simple sitting in a sukkah. It's an unbelievable, if you learn Chassidut, the whole concept of sukkahs, whatever you try to accomplish on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, we accomplish it on sukkahs. The simple mitzvah going out, the midshem, and eating tonight and tomorrow in a sukkah. which tonight and tomorrow is a mitzvah same atayna. It's a Torah obligation to sit in the sukkah. Daka then draws down from the fountain of life of the Sfira Malchus of Atzilis, which is also known in the land of Israel. Especially those people offer voluntarily to sustain the inhabitants of the actual land of life, physical land of life, for Eretz Yisrael, Shegafel land of life, corresponding to the heavenly land of life of Malchus of Atzilis. And it's enough for those who understand. Whoever enlightens as to the great and wondrous matter, meaning the cosmic dynamic traced above, thereby the acts of tzedakah draw down supernal life, the blessed Ein and Sof, to animate the exile of the Shekhinah, Yimtza Tov V'Tam V'Das, will discover and appreciate how profound are the words of the sage of blessed memory that said the following statement: everything is judged according to the multiplicity of acts. It's an important statement that they said. It was not just a nice statement that they said. They meant it literally, because by them, the importance of the act was extremely important, especially when it came to tzedakah, the importance of the act of tzedakah. The Hainu Ma'aseh tzedakah, which the Alter Rebbe says, it means the act of tzedakah, Anaisa Pamim Rabis, which is done many times. The Hamshech Chaim Al Yonim, to bring about supernal life. The Yachid Yichid Elyon Panim Rabis, to make the unity and to bring about a unity above, unification above, the spirits above, many times. We should be able, because to rebuild Malchus is not a one-time act. We need to constantly rebuild Malchus of Atzilus. And that's what we're doing. Every time we give an act of charity, how many times a day? The more, the merrier. Every act of tzedakah draws down Kudsha B'richo and Ein Sof downward to a Shekhinah, down to the lowest levels of the world. Ainu Nami Kein, Ashikosav Adamam. And this is similar to what the Maimonides wrote in the praises of the repeated of giving in tzedakah, L'zacha Nefesh, to also refine your soul. These words allude to well to the supreme unification and thereby affect the worlds above. As known from the Zohar, the Shekhinah Nikra Nefesh. And the Shekhinah also has the name of a Nefesh. Because he is the life of our soul. As it's written, our soul is stooped to the dust, which alludes to the descent of the Shekhinah in exile, which is our soul. Therefore, our sages also said, how great charity is, that a pasha brings redemption nearer. Because every act of charity uplifts the Shekhinah a little bit away from the earth, step by step. Until Mashiach comes, at that time the Shekhinah will be returned to its source. And that completes the 21st letter of the Alter Rebbe. A beautiful letter. Today, my friends, is the 14th day of the month. And the 14th day of the month, the Tillim of the day, is chapter 72 to chapter 76. The Rebbe writes, Chabad does different. Chabad does a little bit different. Not a little bit different, a lot different. The way we do the lulav. So the world, they put on these, they put this shield on the lulav, and they put the aravis in it. At Chabad, we bind the aravis and hadassim to the lulav itself. So we have 5 rings that we put on it. 2, as the Rebbe writes, no more than 2 aravis are used. First of all, no more than 2 aravis are used, but you can use many hadassim. There's no limit to how much hadassim you can use. So even though, again, the world only uses 3 hadassim, the Rebbe, I think, used to put 36 hadassim on it, on the lulav. So there's no limit to hadassim. The lulav has 2 things. There's a lulav, and there's myrtle, and there's there's a willow. So there's two. We put two aravis, and usually we put three hadassim. So together you have with the lulav you have three aravis and two hadas, two aravis and three hadassim. But Chabad puts two aravis and many hadassim. You can put 6, 9, 18, 36, whatever number you want. And the custom is to bind the lulav in the yesig, to bind the lulav in the sukkah on Erev Yontif. Hopefully it won't be raining here. The 2 rings are placed, so you have 5 rings. 2 rings are placed on the lulav proper, and these should be covered by the hadassim and aravis. So you put 2 rings first on the lulav, and then you put all the hadassim and aravis around it. So now those 2 rings are hidden. In addition, you put 3 rings on the bottom to connect the hadassim and aravis to the lulav. So then you add another 3 rings. And these 3 rings need to be within 1 handbreadth. So you should be able to cover, in essence, all 3 of the rings within your hand. So really, when you're holding the lulav, you don't see any rings. That's all you see is a lulav and a hadassim and a aravis, because all the 5 rings they're going to put on the lulav, the first 2 are going to be on the lulav, are going to be hidden by the hadassim and aravis, and the other 3 rings are going to be in the handbreadth, so you're going to be covered by your hand, and even though there's going to be 5 rings on the lulav and nesr. Mitzshem, tomorrow make a shechiyanu on the lulav and nesr. So great mitzvah be'ezat Hashem that you should do it. We also do, if you can, to do the bracha in the sukkah in the morning when you get up and you make a bracha on the lulav nesrig, whether it's here or in a shul. Do it in the sukkah. We connect all the things together. The lulav nesrig and the sukkah, we connect it together. I want to wish you all a wonderful yontiv, and learn your chitas on Tuesday and Wednesday by yourself. And Man Simchasenu, it's the holiday of joy and celebration. And I wish you only Man Simchasenu, they should give you a lot of simcha, a lot of joy. Everybody should have a beautiful and wonderful yontiv. Hopefully it's raining outside today and over here in Boca, but hopefully by tonight it'll stop raining and it won't rain the next 8 days, so we can sit in the sukkah and enjoy it, this mitzvah. But irrelevant, we'll enjoy the mitzvah irrelevant, rain, snow, whatever it takes. A yid never loses his simcha. I wish you all a good yontiv. We'll see you Mitzshem on Thursday morning. Be'ezat Hashem, Thursday morning, 8 o'clock. I would say 8:15 Thursday morning because it's a longer davening. Thursday morning, 8:15. I'll see you all. We'll continue the chitas of the day. Have a wonderful, beautiful yontiv. And God bless us all. Have a wonderful day.